And now to the fun stuff. New client, data entry. Oh yeah. So, back to where we left off on that home page. Here's where you're going to do your data entry for all your clients in iCare. And let's show you what this looks like. Now, in order to get to a new client, you have to search for an existing one. So, we're going to search for a little gibberish. You'll notice that this button, after it goes through every single potential client we have in the system without finding them. Now, in this instance, you would use first name, last name. And that would bring up any client with that first name, last name combination. You can do, well, we recommend that you search by the last name first. So we've come up with nobody under our test client. So we're going to click New Client in order to enter a new iCare client. So this layout, all the data in here should be familiar. The layout is definitely new. You'll note that anything in blue is a required field. So let's go ahead and enter some data. Again, Boulder, thank you for allowing us to use you as the test subrecipient. We're going to say this person's name is test client 2. Tab through. Say no on that. Date of birth is a required field. You do have to put the backslashes in order to format it, unless you're going to pick off the calendar. So let's say you wanted to scroll all the way back to 19, whichever you need to choose for the date you can. However, you might find it easier just to put this in this way. We'll say 1979. Enrollment date of today. And we'll just choose English as our language. Now you also have the race and ethnicity information. Social security number. Toggle these to get them to go yes. So it initially starts off as no. You click on it to change it to yes. Now if you have a client that's a minor and you want the information to remain confidential, you would click on this tab here to change it to yes. Now this is a little different from our previous one. We're choosing applicable race or races from this drop down. So let's say the person picked multiple ways in which they identify. So you can pick multiple races here, and then you can X them out if you realize you have entered them in error. So we'll leave those 2. Insurance. Remember, public, you have the sub list of any one of these. And then we'll do the FPL. And then street information. Here's where you can enter contact information for the client. And now we'll click Add. And this will show you what the new data entry screen looks like after you enter all of the client information, the personal information, race and ethnicity, and then the household info, along with the address, any contact information you may have. So we'll click Add. And you'll note when we click Add, it'll tell you that you have successfully created a client record for test client 2. So, you have a little different layout and view for you here. In the top section, we have the patient information. If you want to edit any of this information, you can click on Edit Info. That'll drop open what you just data entered here down to the race and ethnicity. Let's hit Cancel back up top. So when we get to the Add a New Client, you'll have a clinic visit open and ready to be data entered. So I'll show you what that looks like. I'll say this happened May 1st. provider type was a physician. Now you note the CPT code field is gone. We've decided to take out the CPT code field. So it was not an element that we report federally, nothing that we use for FPAR. So all of the elements that you see within the data entry piece are something that is required to be reported in FPAR, the Family Planning Annual Report. Go ahead and click before and after con. Now here it's very similar to what we were doing with that section of selecting the individual's race. When you click on here, we can add any of these procedures. When you click on counseling, and then lab procedures, and then for referrals. Now let's go ahead and click on a procedure to add. I suppose to make it make a little more sense, we'll click an IUD. Up here is the after contraceptive, so we'll say that in this visit we had an IUD insertion. And you'll see the check comes up as a qualifying. It lets you know that that would be a qualifying procedure. Let's go ahead and click add. You'll see we've successfully created a clinic visit for this individual. You get the basic information of what's been entered as far as what procedures are there, location, date of service, before and after contraceptive, provider type of physician, and then any of the procedures that you end up entering will show up here. You'll also note on this client page that we have the household information over here, as well as contacts. So if you wanted to edit any of the household information, let's say you maybe misentered how many were in the family, you can change that information there. Looks like we need to update that FPL math. But that's where you access the household information. And for contact information, if you want to add a new phone number, you click New Contact, choose the type, click Add. It'll show up here. If you want to edit that contact, you can go ahead and edit. Or if you want to get rid of the contact entirely, you can click on this little can and delete it. So that's the new data entry process of just all the previous data entry steps we were taking in the other version of iCare, brought over to a newer and a little more visually appealing and easier to use version of the system, where it's writ a little larger, broken out into a little more common sense procedure types down here. It also lets you know whether you have a qualifying visit when you hit the add button, and then we'll show you a history of all of your clinic visits in that clinic visit tree. Thank you very much for the new client data entry. Next we'll do existing clients.